Anthem and Endeavor, which Endeavor owns TKO, they're partners. They're absolutely partners because TNA Plus is on the Endeavor streaming service. And if you guys remember, we had Jordan Grace appear at the Royal Rumble, and then she was off TV for a while, and I think she popped back up in like late May, early June, and then she did the Battleground pay-per-view in June. Well, June is a big month for TNA, and that's an important benchmark there because June was the month that everything went to TNA Plus, the service that is on the Endeavor platform. I don't think that's a coincidence that the two companies started actively working together on a regular basis. After January, they took a bunch of months off. We never heard about it again. And then all of a sudden Jordan pops up. So starting in June, the beginning of June, NXT and TNA are full blown partners, right? To where they're now they're swapping talent, right? Because also in June at Against All Odds, we saw Tatum Paxley at Against All Odds. So that was the first shoe to drop. I don't think it's a coincidence that everything got moved over to TNA Plus at the beginning of June when NXT started sending talent over to TNA. Because WWE and NXT helping out TNA helps out their parent company, Endeavor, because the more people that subscribe to TNA Plus, the more money Endeavor makes. I don't know what the money deal is and how all that works, but I get the feeling that the bigger TNA Plus gets, the happier Endeavor streaming is going to be. Anthem and Endeavor are now partners, and it behooves Endeavor for TNA to get on a bigger platform. I think that like in the past, WWE has been on NBC Universal forever, right? And if any company tried to get on NBC Universal, well, NBC Universal had an exclusive deal with WWE. So that would eliminate the opportunity for not only USA, right? But if you wanted to get on anything owned by NBC Universal, you just couldn't because WWE would block it, right? Legally, could they do that? No, but they did it, right? So legally, they could block you from USA, but they couldn't block you from Sci-Fi, right? Or they couldn't block you from the fucking whatever else, like NBC Sports Network, which is now gone. But they couldn't block you from, I think they owned the Tennis Channel at one point. I don't know if they still do, but they could block you from anything owned by NBC Universal, and they did it to MLW, and that's what that lawsuit was about. So, and let's get into that little lawsuit just a little bit. Just a reminder: WWE is partners with Fox, right? They're on SmackDown. SmackDown's on Fox, and MLW was working out a deal to get on Tubi. Tubi is owned by Fox. It's their free OTT, not OTT, it's their free streaming platform. It's a lot of, like, they actually have original movies and original TV shows on Tubi. I don't think anybody actually watches them. I think like Judge Judy is on there, but they got a lot of free like streaming. It's kind of like Pluto. It's a fast thing, but they have a bunch of original programming, which I think Pluto just doesn't have, right? So, but MLW was going to be on Tubi, which would have been a good deal for MLW. But WWE blocked it, and MLW sued them over it. Well, I think that lawsuit scared WWE away from ever doing anything like that again, because that was a huge, the lawsuit didn't really lose them a ton of money from a WWE from a TKO perspective, but it was more money than they would want to lose, right? To a little company like MLW. Look, MLW is probably going to end up blowing that deal anyway, right? So why would they go out of their way to screw them over on it? But they just did it anyway because that's just what WWE did at the time. This is before TKO. So they made the phone call, they had the deal nixed, and then MLW sued them over. And it's like, you know what? Why would we do this to MLW? It doesn't, them being on Tubi is not going to hurt us. It had to be out of spite. And it's just because it's just how WWE, since their inception, they have been predatory against other companies and blocking opportunities and trying to be a monopoly. And that's exactly what that was. And that's why they lost the lawsuit. That's why they had to settle and pay out MLW. That's why MLW is paying guys good money right now to be on their shows, because they were able to get some money out of WWE. So I don't think anything like that's going to happen. So if TNA and I think it's a real possibility that they could hire Endeavor. So if you guys want to know what Endeavor really is and how they got started and why they became so big, Ariel Emanuel or Ariel, what the hell's his name? I can't remember. His name's Ariel. Anyway, he how he made his name and how Endeavor became this huge conglomerate is they're just a Hollywood agency, and they were just negotiating deals for actors, and then they were negotiating deals for talents, and they were negotiating deals for companies, and so they actually were helping negotiate deals for WWE and UFC and this and that, locking in television and distribution deals and all this stuff. It would not surprise me if Endeavor, I'm talking the parent company, if they were hired by TNA to negotiate a television deal for them. And if Endeavor's negotiating the television deal, that would open up platforms owned by NBC Universal. Obviously, Fox canceled SmackDown, so I think that could be a possibility. Anyway, I'm not talking about like the network Fox. I'm talking about big Fox, but like Tubi's not out of the question, right? FS1 not out of the question now because Endeavor is available and Endeavor and Anthem are doing business together. So I think that opens it widens the net of what they could do. So I think this is big news. I think something like Sci-Fi is absolutely on the table, because if TNA gets on Sci-Fi, that helps out Endeavor. I think FS1 is absolutely on the table. I'm not talking like they're probably not going to get big money from these companies, because Sci-Fi and FS1 are not, unless you're MLB, like FS1 isn't spending a lot of money, right? But I think that's absolutely on the table. Could they go to the Paramount system? I don't think Paramount's interested, to be honest with you. They got rid of pro wrestling a long time ago, and they never looked back. I know WoW is like some on like some small networks around the country, like local stations, but I think that I just don't see Paramount like Paramount sold Bellator. They just want to get out of the business, like combat sports business altogether. Like I know they have Combate now, and like I know Invictus on CBS Sports Network, but I don't know. I mean, you know what? Actually, CBS Sports Network, I could see something like that. They don't really spend a lot of money, and so it wouldn't, but it would grow the company. And if you getting them in front of more eyeballs helps Endeavor, right? So I think within them being partners with Endeavor, this guy Rob Kligman coming over with the pedigree that he has, and the connections he has to the WWE, I think it's absolutely on the table that they get a new TV deal. And I'm almost like expecting them to get one sometime next year. I don't, but I think everybody needs to temper expectations. Okay. Stop saying USA. Stop saying Paramount. Stop saying like Fox, CBS, ABC, NBC. Nothing like that. That shit's just not going to happen. I don't think CW is on the table, because CW already has WWE, NXT, and they have NWA on their streaming thing. I don't think they're going to want to do too much. I don't think they're going to want to have too much pro wrestling. I think another one that could be on the table is Reels. Now, I have a buddy that works there. I've not talked to him about this. I should probably shoot him a text. I haven't talked to him in a long time, actually. But MLW was on Reels, and the whole thing got blown up because Reels is now on Peacock. It's like part of their streaming service. Like you can just watch the channel Reels on the Peacock Live streaming thing. And that whole thing got nixed. They were on Reels. Like it didn't do well on Reels, to be honest with you. And it didn't do well on Vice, but it did better on Reels than it did on Vice. Reels is now a top 25 channel because of On Patrol Live. And I think going to Reels would actually be a major upgrade over Access. On Patrol Live does like big numbers on Friday and Saturday nights. It does really big numbers. So I think I think Reel's on the table. IO Production says, what about A&E? I wouldn't see A&E. A&E has never done anything like live sports, anything like that. They're more of a movies and documentaries. I think what they're doing is kind of like what they're going to be. Let's see. Billy says, do you think Vice is on the table? I would say Vice is on the table. Vice just, I think they filed for bankruptcy and they got bought out by a company, and I don't think they're spending right now. So, but the previous ownership brought on MLW, and I think that was they brought on MLW, and which signaled that they were interested in pro wrestling, but MLW just failed on that platform. It just didn't work. And they put their biggest match on there. Like that was the big, I believe their debut on Vice was the big Jacob Fatu Hammerstone. I think it did like 40,000 viewers at like 10 p.m. when they're used to getting like, 1 to 200,000 viewers on Vice. So, let's see. Joe says, put TNA on right after On Patrol Live. Well, you know what? I think On Patrol Live comes on at 9 p.m. Eastern. I don't think you want, and it goes till midnight. I don't think you want to do a midnight thing. But I think on Reels, On Patrol Live, they actually have they do reruns all the time, and their reruns actually do pretty good. I could see like 7 p.m. doing like a highlight show. Do a highlight show at 7 p.m. On Patrol Live on Thursday nights, and then you go boom right into TNA. I think that's the move. And Joe says Ion Television is Ion Television still a channel? And they probably just show a lot of reruns of Blue Bloods and Walker Texas Ranger. Ion Television is absolutely an upgrade over Access TV though. Billy says, what about Roku channel? That's not an improvement over Access, to be honest with you. I don't think so. Billy, you missed it. I read the quote, and he wants to be on an over the top service. So we're talking Netflix, Hulu, Peacock, Paramount, stuff like that. And he wants that as well as to be on a broadcast station. When he means broadcast, typically people, when they mean broadcast, they mean like NBC, ABC, but that's not what we're talking about. Let's see. Nonzo says, do you see a OP Live and a TNA collab? Well, I mean, if they went to Reels collab, I don't know. I think there's crossover appeal there, to be honest with you, because On Patrol Live, and I'm a fan of the show, is kind of like NFL Red Zone, but for meth addicts. It's like just going around crushing junkies. So I think there's like a crossover there. But I don't think they're going to bring over any police officers. Although Garrow Brown, if you guys Google Garrow Brown, Garo Brown, he's this big jacked up dude. He's one of those guys, if he pulls you over, you'd be like, look, I don't know what I did, but I did it. Like he's that huge. Like he's got like some of the largest arms you'll ever see. So would that be cool to see him on TNA? Yeah, but I don't think that's gonna happen.